Let me tell you something. If you told me a year ago that the president of our HOA would kick down my bathroom door and drag my daughter out of the shower, I'd have laughed you out of the room. But that's exactly how the whole circus started. No knock, no warning, just the snap of the lock, steam pouring down the hallway, and suddenly there's Claudia Merriweather standing in my doorway like she owns the place, clutching my daughter Sophia's wrist while yelling about drought restrictions as if she's the sheriff of some Dust Bowl town that nobody asked for. You ever have a moment where your brain can't decide if it's furious, shocked, or just plain embarrassed for the other person? That was me, standing there in disbelief while my daughter, half-soaked, humiliated, just stared at Claudia like she was a villain straight out of a made-for-TV movie. Claudia's face? Pure triumph, like dragging a teenager out of the shower was her civic duty. I didn't shout, didn't even flash my badge, though trust me, I was tempted. You should know something, Claudia, I told her, voice low and steady. Those master keys you copied for yourself? Already logged as evidence. The backstory, none of this makes sense. I'm Mark Alvarez, detective, property crimes, 17 years and counting. Most people think HOA complaints are just neighbor drama, nothing more. But gets people arrested. And she picked my house, of all places. You know that feeling when someone violates your last little piece of peace? That bathroom wasn't just a room. It was the only place in the house where my daughter still felt close to her mom, who we lost way too soon. Claudia didn't just barge in with her precious master key. She smashed right through a memory, a safe place. I felt something cold and hard click into place inside me. This wasn't about drought, it was about control, and I decided right then, I was done letting her run the show. People always ask why Dad built warnings about excessive shade, because Sophia and her friends dared to hang out in the front yard, parking notices, fines for ridiculous things, all signed in her neat little script like royal decrees. Everyone else just grumbled and paid up, hoping she'd pick on someone else next. Not me. So when Claudia stormed off, heels clacking, clipboard swinging, Sophia sobbing upstairs, I stayed calm. Rage is a blunt instrument. Precision cuts deeper. What Claudia didn't know was I'd already been documenting everything. Cameras in the hallway caught her illegal entry. Recorder in my pocket had her own words on tape, and thanks to Terrell Gaines, the HOA treasurer who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else at board meetings, I had emails showing she ordered master keys for the whole board, all without approval. That night, I made a promise. This wouldn't be just another case of HOA overreach. I wasn't letting it slide, not with my daughter's safety on the line. Next morning, Claudia went on the attack, flyers all over the neighborhood about repeat water violators, like we were criminals. She thought she was painting us as the villains. But neighbors started to whisper, something wasn't adding up. At the pool that evening, Claudia gathered her audience, preaching about fairness and conservation, pretending this was all about the greater good. I let her finish, then quietly pointed out in front of everyone. Funny thing about fairness, it usually doesn't involve breaking into someone's house with an unauthorized master key. You could hear a pin drop. For the first time, the spell was broken. People started looking at her differently. You could see the gears turning. Maybe this wasn't just about lawns and flowers anymore. That night, Sophia sat beside me by the stone fountain, the one Claudia hated and Mom loved. She said, "It sounds just like Mom's laugh, you know?" And it hit me. This fight was about holding on to what made this house ours. I promised Sophia that nobody was taking that away from us. Not Claudia, not anybody. With the crowd finally shifting, I needed help from the inside. That's when Terrell showed up outside the HOA office, sweating bullets, fidgeting like a man who's had enough secrets. I didn't push him, just let the silence do its work. That's how you get the truth out of people. The next day, Claudia tripled down, 3 violation notices taped to my door. Fountain, landscaping, even a noise complaint at 3 a.m. She wanted a public spectacle. I gathered up those letters, let the sunlight hit every word, and headed to the clubhouse for her beautification meeting, Claudia's personal stage. She went on about chronic violators and even threatened legal seizure of homes. Folks gasped. Even the old-timers looked spooked. I stood up, calm as ever. You talk about risk, but the real risk is a board member using a master key to enter people's homes without consent. Silence. Claudia tried to call me a liar, but Terrell kept his head down. His silence said more than any words. People noticed. That was the first crack. Next day, I dug through county courthouse records, bylaws, deeds, board renewals. Guess what? The HOA had no legal authority to enter homes. None. Claudia's supposed paperwork? Fraudulent. Expired signatures. Missing seals. Her entire regime built on hot air and threats. Then came the twist. I get a message from an unknown number, a photo of an email. Claudia telling the board if anyone asks about the keys, just claim emergency maintenance. That was Terrell finally taking a side. Not an hour later, I come home to foreclosure notices slapped across my door, a new level of desperate. Another message, this time a video. Claudia, outside the HOA office, handing out keys. No one questions us. Not while I'm in charge. It was war. I took everything I had, emails, videos, courthouse records, to the neighborhood diner, called in whoever would listen. That's when Mrs. Patel, hands shaking, tells everyone Claudia fined her for planting basil. People started sharing. Humiliation, threats, fines for everything from wind chimes to bird feeders. I laid it all out, and for the first time, you could feel it. The fear turning into real, shared outrage. That night, Terrell reached out directly. We can't keep this up. Meet me tomorrow. No one else can know. Next day, behind the tennis courts, he handed over his briefcase. Emails, ledgers, locksmith invoices, every signature Claudia's. He said, she told us it was legal, threatened to ruin us if we talked. But what she did to your daughter, I can't take it anymore. I told him, you're not just a witness, you're the key. Turned out, Claudia had been diverting fines into secret accounts, embezzlement, fraud, you name it. This was way past garden variety, HOA nonsense. I brought it all to Captain Ruiz at the precinct, laid out the whole rotten mess. He told me to set the final trap. So I posted a notice for a financial transparency review, by law. Claudia had to show. That night, the community center was packed. Claudia came in ready to perform, but when I stood up, holding the evidence, she saw what was coming. When you dragged my daughter out of her shower, you committed a crime. She blustered, called it a vendetta, but I slid the files across the table. Terrell stood up, voice shaking, but loud enough. She ordered the keys. She took the money. The room exploded. I played the video, Claudia on camera, passing out master keys. That was the final straw. People shouted, demanded resignations. Ruiz and his officers walked in, warrant in hand. Claudia tried to hide behind her clipboard. You can't do this. I am this community. But Ruiz just said, without you, it survives. Handcuffs snapped. The room erupted. Neighbors cheering, hugging. The next day, we met again, not to pick a new board, but to vote on dissolving the HOA for good. Nearly unanimous. Claudia's regime was over. Sophia stood next to me by the fountain, her hand in mine. Mom would have been proud, she whispered. That fountain, once just a family thing, had become a symbol for all of us. Proof that home means more than fines and threats. Let me ask you, have you ever watched fear turn to hope, right in your own living room? Ever had to fight for your family's peace? Tell me your story. Drop a comment. And let's make sure no bully ever gets the last word.